All right, it is Halloween tutorial time. I'm going to go through all 6 parts on here. Pay attention to the fast forward text on your screen if you need to um, jump to a different part. And I will just kind of go through it all right now. So part 1 is coloring the skin. What you want to do for that to start out is press Control J, and that is going to duplicate your layer. And then on this layer is where you're making a selection of the skin. And you can do this with any of the selection tools. I'm going to go through really quick, just so it doesn't waste too much of the video time, going through with the polygonal lasso tool. So I'm clicking on each time I want to make an anchor point. And also be sure to make sure that you select the neck too, if it's visible on your picture, and they have like arms or anything else like that exposed, make sure you select that as well, so it all gets turned the same color. Once you have the selection done, you are going to, once you have the marching ants up, you're going to press Control J. And sorry, you're not going to press Control J. You are going to press the layer mask icon while this is up. So I have on the top layer, have my selection. The layer mask icon is right here. It's a circle inside of the rectangle. You are going to click on that, and you'll see the thumbnail appear. This time a little bit different though, that it's white and has it's blacked out around the outside of the selection. What that allows us to do is color this in. So I'm going back to the original layer. You can see the white bounding box around the thumbnail. I'm going to pick my color, and let's just pick like a green or something. And now with my brush tool, I am going to brush Rogers in. What you want to do for this is you want to change your blending mode on this top layer to color. You can do that before or after. You see what a difference it makes already. And then you want to go in with your eraser tool, and you want to erase what shouldn't be colored. Examples of that would be potentially facial hair here, and eyes, hair, anything like that. I realize when you go through on facial hair, it does kind of look a little bit weird because you still see the skin showing through there. That's kind of unavoidable, but what I'll do is once I kind of erase that is I'll go back into my brush and take this color and kind of go back in where I still want it to be green. Just try to address some of that area where it turned. If you have lines up here, it's not because of this. You can color all you want to right there and nothing's going to happen. You have to go back to your layer mask with the black and white, and you'll actually have to go to white to make that layer mask bigger and free up some space where you can add some color. So I'm just fixing that top part right there. Next, you want to lower your opacity to get it to, not so vivid. And then you can make that hue and saturation, the half shaded circle, the hue and saturation can pop up. And then just right click right where it says hue and saturation and make a clipping mask. That'll make it only apply to the colored layer. Then you can lower the saturation. You can raise it, change the color, do things of that nature on there. That is part 1. Part 2 is the eyes. So back on the original layer, I'm going to take a selection tool and I'm just going to cut out the eyes, just the white part. After I get done with the first selection, in order to go on to the second one, I have to hold down Shift, and that way the first selection will not disappear. It adds onto a selection. If I just tried going and clicking on over here, see how they disappear? So you have to hold down Shift. Once you have that on the original layer, press Control J and name layer 2 eyes so you don't lose it. And you want to drag that to the very top layer. Then you want to change your blending mode to screen. And you see the before and after difference there. And then you can go back in with an eraser tool or a mask and you want to just erase where there shouldn't be any white. Like if you had a bad cutout and there was a little bit up there, you can erase. But here's the before and after for the eyes. Part 2 of the eyes is to make a brand new layer, and I'm going to name this shadows or eyeshadows. And I'm going to change the blending mode to like a soft light or an overlay. And then from there, you are going to change your blending mode and then pick a black brush. And you are going to brush on the eyeshadows. Keep in mind, I'm on soft light right now, but on yours, depending on what color you used, it might be overlay, it could be multiply, something totally different. So color in where there should be eyeshadows, maybe going along the wrinkles, maybe along some lines where, see where I kind of had that skin showing there, so I can maybe go in and address that, make it a little bit darker. And you can always go back and erase if something doesn't look right. So I'm going to take my eraser tool and maybe go back up there and kind of erase that. And that is part 2 eyes. So part 3 mouth, you want to find a source image of a mouth to put onto your picture. So you're going to go onto the internet and you are going to type in mouth. And that could be a specified search. It could be vampire mouth, scary mouth, whatever you want. You want it to be a real picture too. You don't want any cartoon ones. And let me just find one, which can be a little bit challenging. Let's do this one here. And I'm going to copy that and paste it in. And now if you think back to the hybrid celebrity, I need to lower the opacity on this and try to line this mouth up exactly where it should go on Roger's layer. And then I want to turn the opacity back up and actually lower this down below my original picture. So if I take my mouth, drag it all the way down below this Rogers one, and then on the original layer, I'm going to make a layer mask. And then I am going to, black is going to erase, and white is going to bring back on that layer mask. I am going to bring through this mouth. And now I'm going to lower the opacity and really try to blend this in a little bit better. So I'm going to get in there. Now, the reason why you see green in some spots and not others is because of this original picture layer. So what I can do is I can go in with my eraser tool and I can erase where that shouldn't be green. So on like the lips and stuff, if I don't want that, I can go through and erase that and should fix it a little bit. Okay, that is part 3. Part 4 is wrinkles. Let's create a new layer on the top for the wrinkles. So I'm going to make a new layer, name that wrinkles. This is kind of maybe one of the trickier steps on here. Using a hard black brush that is smaller than 5px, brush your wrinkles into the picture. So I'm going to take my brush tool. I'm going to go up to my settings and make sure the size is really small. And I am going to make sure that it is a hard brush. And then all it wants you to do is kind of create these wrinkles on here. And make them look like that. Then it says turn the fill on the wrinkle layer from 100 to 0. So you have fill right here. below your opacity, turning that down to 0 so I can't see them. And then it says apply a text effect, a bevel and emboss, and change your depth, size, and all that stuff so this looks, so it appears. So right now I have my bevel styles here, and I have my depth, and I have my size and soften, which I want to adjust to get these wrinkles to show up. So you see it, I went out way too far and I couldn't see them. And as soon as I brought down my size, they reappeared. So just because you can't see them right away, don't get discouraged. And we're gonna kind of leave them along the lines of that. Let's see what an inner bevel looks like. So can't even see them. So I did change it to emboss, worked okay. Pillow emboss seems like it works all right. And now you have wrinkles on there. That is part 4. Part 5 is skin effects. So what we want to do is we want to search for cracked earth on the internet. So I'm going to go and type in cracked earth. Make sure you're searching large. And you want to find an image that looks along the lines of this. So what I'm going to do is just find one. And I'm going to paste that in on the top layer. And I'm going to resize that to cover his face. I could do a second one for the neck. I'm just going to leave the neck alone for now. And I'm going to change the blending mode to overlay. And then I am going to erase the parts where there shouldn't be cracked in the skin. So I can do that with a layer mask or an eraser tool. I'll just do a layer mask for this one just to show you the difference. And I have a brush, and black is going to bring back. We don't want cracked earth on the eyes. We don't want it on the mouth. You don't necessarily want it going off the page or going from like an ear. Nothing on the hair. Probably should have a soft brush there. I just kind of realized that. I was wondering why it was erasing so vividly. Nothing on mouth there. And then I'm going to lower the opacity way down on this. I'm down all the way down to 21 there. If a little trick, let's say I had brought that in and I just have it looking like this. Because I have a selection already right here, if I hold down Control and I click on this layer mask, it automatically brings that selection back up. And I realize it doesn't do the eyes or anything, but you could then bring that up and do a select inverse to do the opposite, and then delete that so you just have that selection there to start, so you don't have to worry about like erasing the outside. I have a white background, so you didn't really see mine too much, but that would be an example of how that could make it go a little bit quicker for you. And I realized I lost all my erasing by showing you that, but I think it would probably be worth it for you. So let's erase real quick. Okay, the last step on here is lighting effects. I recommend saving before you start the lighting effects part, it takes a lot of memory and stuff to do, and I just don't want Photoshop to close out on you. So for lighting effects, you want to combine all your layers, and you can do that by hitting Control Shift E, and that's a quick one, or you can just click on the bottom one, hold Shift, click on the top one, and merge the layers together. And then you are going to go, you can cut out the background first. You're going to go to Filter, and then Render, and then Lighting Effects. And it's going to look a lot better if you have a background in there. This will open up a kind of a gallery of lights, and it'll show up on the right-hand side here. And what you can do with this, it's kind of like the blur. You can move it around. You can pick different kinds. There's all these presets. So there's like blue light, circle, crossing, 5 lights down. And when you click on them, you see how you can click on each individual one and then turn up the intensity or drag it or move it. So play around with those. You don't want to take away from all the work you did, so you don't want to have just a dark picture all of a sudden. So pick something along the lines of this and move it around, adjust it, and then have your background in there, and then you can save it.